1, 2, 3, go. Molweni, igama lam Lufezo Bovungana. I am 21 years old from the small town of Port Elizabeth, currently residing in Johannesburg, and I'm a multi-disciplinary, non-binary artist, mainly in theatre making.
What are your fears?
Ooh, so singena, we are talking about fears. That's
right
crazy.
What are your fears?
I think failure more than anything, and of course, failure is gonna happen. It's a part of life. It's a part of the process. It's a part of. It's about getting back up, and it's about getting down and getting back up again. But I think mainly failure, but also not doing any story that I put my heart in justice, like, and in not creating a space mainly for performers to express themselves creatively and freely. And never being one of those toxic directors is also one of my greatest fears. I don't want to ever create a space for people that feel like, they dread being in a rehearsal space with me. They dread being a part of any kind of process with me, I think mainly. So failure and potentially creating a toxic environment for people. Hence, I'm very self-aware, ensuring that what I do and how I do it and the people that I invite into the space as well. So I could say those are my fears. Yeah.
Do you ensure that your fear doesn't come true?
Real. I think just staying true to yourself. I think when you know yourself very well and the kind of spaces you want to create for people and like how you want to work with people, and when you have good intentions, I think good intentions is the basis for everything. Like, especially then it also ensures that you work well with abanye bantu as well. I think combating that fear is just working as hard as I can as well with the failure part, working as hard as I can, but also not being afraid to fail. I think when you take your craft very, very seriously and you have good intentions towards it in any way or shape or form, you will always end up in a better place. And regardless of what you think, even if at that point I'm like, I didn't do as best as I could, but I know that I did my best and I tried my hardest and I worked hard and I treated the people around me kakuhle, I think that's a win in general. And I think also just knowing that you're doing something for the first time when you're doing it for the first time and not being hard on yourself. I think as creators, we can be so hard on ourselves because I think creating art is a very vulnerable thing. It's not.
Because you're portraying yourself.
Yes. It is a reflection of you and your name is on it and people are going to be like, oh, that's you, you know, and it's just about owning that essentially, irregardless of what it looks like, irregardless if it's not your best work, just owning it and being proud of it because you know that you put your all in what you could have at the time.
And I think to touch on that as well, what's important is being able to differentiate between your work and you yourself.
Yes.
Because it's easy to perceive yourself as others perceive your work.
Yes.
When people give you like feedback and that's not what you wanted, you know, it's very important to be able to be like, hey, this is my work that they're commenting on, not who I am.
Yes.
And also they don't have to see things the way I see it. Doesn't mean I have to stop or you know, I just keep on working on that.
My lecturer likes to say that he's not God, he's just someone that has an opinion. Because they know that art is subjective. They know that some of the things that we create, maybe they won't even resonate with nor understand because it's coming from your perspective and your lived experience. You may know better than he knows. I mean, I speak to my lecturer all the time, like, I know more about this experience than you know of it, you know? So when you give your opinion, then you must give it in that way as well.
So we've addressed your fears.
Yes.
When do you feel safest?
I think I feel safest really in my bedroom listening to music and writing. I think I feel my safest when I'm in my room by myself, listening to very good music, preferably Thandiswa Mazwai. Shout out, love her so much. Sankofa is getting me through a lot of days.
Sure.
So it's that, and of course with loved ones. I mean, when I'm with my girlfriend or I'm with my very good friend Upelele, and also when I'm with people that want to create as well, and we've been brought in a space together mainly because we all have the same love for something. I think that's always one of the best spaces to be in. And when everyone wants to work just as hard and we all have the same goal and the same vision, and through being committed, all of us in a process, we are loving each other through that as well. I think some of my best friendships have come from being in a rehearsal room with people, and you learn to love them because you see them at their lows, you see them when they're tired, you see them when they are breaking down, you see them when the character is taking over in a way in which it's very difficult for them to come back again. I think the rehearsal room is like these walls that we're in now have seen some of the most intimate moments that could ever be created. I really think what happens in the rehearsal process is not really what we see on the stage. What
Yeah.
happens in the rehearsal process is really just gruesome intimacy and feeling and yeah. So when you create a safe space or when you feel safe in that kind of space, it's the best feeling in the world, really. So those top three.
Is it safe to say then that the beauty is in the rehearsal of the
Yes.
project, the creation of it,
Yes. Yes.
and showing it to other people, or rather, the output is a compilation of everything that has happened. And it's just like,
Yes.
okay, we did this, and this is the result we have, but everything else that happened in between is what is actually what makes it.
Absolutely.
You know?
The rehearsal process is so, it's one of the most toughest but most beautiful times. And I think being someone that's been in the role of the performer and the role of the musical director or the role of the director or the different roles that I play in the rehearsal room, I think each one brings something. But really being the role of the director or the performer, you see so many beautiful explorations of people really pouring themselves into the story in order for it to get to what it will be on the day when they're on the stage. Some of the best memories I've definitely made have been in the rehearsal room. Some of the worst memories I've ever made have been in the rehearsal room. But I always remember who was there in that room with me. And I carry all of those people very, very close to my heart. It makes me think of a play that I did last year called Umkangelonge Nagama. And it was a very tough process, spiritually, emotionally, physically. But I remember being there with Ulikona, Umandis, Unaledi, or Onanji, all of, sorry if I didn't mention all of them, but being there with them really just made it worth the while, even though, I think the build-up of it and creating all of those moments and working so hard to ensure that we create this final product, you see a lot and you experience a lot. And I think I'm an empath at heart. I feel things. So I think it's about holding each other's hands, and it's very beautiful to be there holding people's hands, but also to create a space where people hold each other's hands as well.
Touching on that, being in a space with creatives, going for the same goal,
Yes.
like pushing each other to just achieving this beautiful product.
Yes.
What does like being a creative allow you to do? Would you say?
Being a creative allows you to just express yourself. I think it allows you to use your body as a vessel to tell other people's stories or your own story or somebody that comes from your lineage that you probably have never even met. I still go through the I still think that theater is very spiritual. I don't know, I could go on all day about it, but I think it's mainly allowing yourself allowing your body to be used as a vessel, mainly to embody a character and also to express yourself fully and to just create and to leave all your problems outside the door and just be present with the people that you're with on the floor and allowing the floor and the space to gift us with moments that you couldn't probably possibly even think about in your room writing a script. That's why I love the art of devising and creating from scratch with all of us in a room together. I think so many beautiful things that can just be birthed from that, simply from people just expressing themselves. I think as a director, I always think about, I don't want to create interpretive performers. I want to create performers that are creative, performers that trust their intuition, performers that go with their impulse, performers that know that, okay, if I do this now, it's going to be welcomed in the space, and Lufezo will just elevate it to where it needs to be and all of that, so that we all feel involved in what has been created and we don't feel a disconnect from anything. Because we know that, there's been a part of me that is here in this play because simply I was in a rehearsal room where I expressed my truest self and I spoke about things that I don't usually speak about on the daily because I resonate with the story simply because, I don't know, for example, it's a story about grief, but because someone close to me has passed away, so I'm pouring all of those emotions in there. It's just a moment for all of us to heal. I think through expressing yourself, you heal, and you're there with other people as well. And there's so much healing that takes place in that in general.
The people you work with, it sounds like to me, you trust them.
Yes.
You trust their vision, you trust their talents, their capabilities.
Yes.
So like what are the challenges that might come and the things that make it easier to go about being a creative or the creative process rather?
I think I'll definitely speak back to challenges of being a theater maker and being in the theater space. Your body is literally your work. So the challenges are, even if your body is shutting down, you must show up. And I think it's one of those art forms where you need to show up and you need to put in the hours. So it's very time consuming. Maybe I can say it's very, very time consuming. It's very hectic on the body, the spirit. So those are the challenges I face. I face challenges of fatigue, being tired all the time, but being mentally strong and understanding and being disciplined. It needs you to be very disciplined. It needs you to be able to, like, it's all in the mind, but mind over matter and all of that, those kinds of crazy things. So I think many of the challenges is showing up every day and as your best self and the best that you can, and being committed. It needs another level of commitment as well. So a challenge I find as a director is holding space, even at during times I feel like I can't even hold space for myself the best. So even if like I'm going through, I've had the worst day, but I know that I'm going to see like my actors that I'm working with now, Tobani, Oratile, and Makosi, and I know that I need to be there holding down the fort to ensure that if they are feeling heavy emotions, that like we are there for them and I'm comforting them and I'm holding space and I'm not falling apart as well, because then if they're falling apart and I'm falling apart, this is my space. I'm the one that's conducting this entire space. And then the best thing is really, I think, goes back to what I was saying before, being in a space where we can just express ourselves creatively and birthing stories. I think there's nothing more beautiful of working hard and being present and having fun and creating things and building relationships until the moment you get onto the stage and you perform that hour or 90-minute play and you're so proud of yourself afterwards. I put in 3 months of the work. I did that, and I'm taking that final bow. The work is out there. It's been received. I've worked so hard to get to this very moment and savoring the moment and being present in the moment as well. It's just the best feeling in the world. Like being on stage is exhilarating. It's like adrenaline rush, like to the greatest of extent, because you are there, you are present, you are going, you are in the character, and everyone that you're on the stage with is also going. It's one of the best feelings in the world. It's just watching a manifestation be like months of a manifestation of something come to life. That's and then being not even seeing it, then also being involved in that. It's just great.
So how does that influence your life? Because you have a life outside of this creation, outside of directing, outside of theater, outside of singing. So having this beautiful core, how does that impact the rest of your life?
I'm just a very busy human being. That's how it impacts my life. I work very hard. I'm not here simply to get a degree. I'm here to create work and to put myself out there. It creates a very busy schedule and it makes you like have to be very organized. I am a workaholic at heart. I won't even lie about it. So my life outside of this is definitely just being by myself because I'm with people a lot. I think I've learned to savor the very small and tiny and intimate moments because I know that my schedule already is like Monday this, Tuesday this, Wednesday this, Thursday this, And when it's time to rest, prioritizing rest because
like intentional
rest. Yes, very intentional rest. I to the extent that like even on Saturday sometimes I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be outside partying, but if I can, I will. Still enjoy and love doing that because it's very important as well to be out there and see other people and to network with other and with other creatives as well. I like what you said now, being intentional in resting. I think just moving intentionally is really the only way to survive a career like this. So
you mentioned you're a workaholic, a busy person, and it sounds like you have a lot of passion behind what you do. We have a vast pool of creatives. Like these days, creatives are being put in the forefront a bit more, and everyone is realizing what it means to be a creative. Everyone wants a part of it, a piece of it. What sets you apart as a creative, would you believe? Apart from that you're a workaholic, like you say, what do you feel like makes you like, hey, listen to me, this is my story?
That's a very great question. Someone asked me that question even the other day because he was talking about how the supply and demand for art, the creatives right now, like the supply is high, but demand is so you have to stand out in some way or some shape or form. I really honestly think mainly it's because I work fucking hard. Like simply because I work fucking hard. Secondly, because I have a good heart in terms of I have good intentions about what I'm doing, in the sense that I'm not power hungry. The goal is not to have power or to be famous or to be well known, really. For me, the goal is to ensure that my work touches somebody and it makes somebody feel something. And I take people on journeys of feeling something or discovering themselves through something, And I think the kind of work that I'm creating is really trying to bring the marginalized to the forefront, to bring queer people to the forefront, to bring non-binary people to the forefront, to bring people that are disabled to the forefront. Like with the work that I'm currently creating is surrounding an autistic character, mainly because of where I come from and having a close relationship with my brother that is autistic, and the kind of doors I want to open for disabled people that want to express themselves creatively. I like to bank on my personality as a, like general, like just the person that I am. Yeah. I think I try my best to be the best person that I can be, and to touch people simply through just a simple conversation. And through that, I think you attract people to want to engage with your work and engage with the things that you're creating, simply because, I don't know, you gave them a smile the one time, or simply because you've been able to build relationships throughout our lives, you know, for as long as we've known each other. Yeah. You know, like we've known each other since first year, you know, those kinds of things. These, you never know where these relationships can go in any shape or form. True. So it's simply about being kind, I think. Being kind, spreading kindness, and bringing the marginalized to the forefront, and bringing the voiceless to the forefront, and ensuring that their voices are being heard. Because what's the point if, you know, I think I used to, like when I was 16, I used to say that I want to create theater that's going to change the world, really, the best way that we knows how. But I think now that I grew up, I'm like, I just want to create theater that changes even one person's life. If it can change one person's life, I'm grateful, you know. And because of that's the simplicity of that, I think then my riches will grow in a sense, because of just mentality and intention through what we are doing. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. It really does. I think also what I heard from it, the key thing was like you have a people that you're representing. Yes. You know, the people's story that you want to tell. People who can't necessarily do that for themselves. Yes. And that's one of the important things about art, you know, like as much as you're telling a story, you can choose whose story you're telling. Yes. And that could make all the difference. Just something as basic as apartheid, you know. Yes. For it to spread, for people to get to know about it, was through art, like photography. Yes. You know, it was through things like murals, you know, paintings, films, you know, things like that that get people asking like, what is actually being told? Whose story is being told here, and what is happening to this person? So I think what you were saying also about like including someone who's disabled, like autistic in your play, it raises questions, and those questions need to be answered. And that's important. You're also saying supply and demand, and that's also one of the faults of like creativity, you know, the creative space. Putting monetary value to creation kind of ruins it for me, because I feel like being a creative or creating is the essence of our beings, especially as a people, as a black people rather. From the history that I've studied on like the Venda people, our tribe, from the beginning, that's one of the things that made us who we are. That's
exactly
one of the things we
expressing yourself simply.
Expressing ourselves, you know. So I'm against the idea of putting a monetary value to it. Like, you shouldn't pay me for my work, you know, rather resonate with it and understand it. So with that being said, what would you say are the major problems that you've identified in the creative industry? You know, what do you see as a problem?
I think there's a level of exploitation that is taking place in the creative industry, which I'm completely against. Definitely. I also do think that South Africa has produced some of the best art. Like if we look back to even, I like what you were talking about apartheid, that was a thriving time. We had musicians like Miriam Makeba coming up. We had protests. About John Kanye were thriving. Arthur Fugard, a white man who was writing plays. He's also from my hometown. But I think a lot, that's also when theater started thriving as well, because plays like Woza Albert started happening, Sophia Town, plays that were based on apartheid in general. Using these kinds of plays as a way to just bring social, like political awareness about what was happening to black people during the time, right? Our industry is so flawed, mainly because of this mentality that, I mean, I want to make money from doing this. Of course, I want to be able to feed myself and my people, and to show my family a situation, like another way of living, simply because, yes, I've had a good heart, but because I work hard. I just think mainly it's because they know that we are passionate, right? They know that it's simply because it's so ingrained in our identity to be creatives. It's not like it's like Umdu that has a 9-to-5 job, but also has a life outside of it. We call it precarious labor. And they use passion workers and cultural laborers to exploit us, because they know that now we're gonna show up either way because we love this thing. And that's so wrong, you know, because I mean, rather show somebody that they love something and they can make a living out of it and they can look after themselves through it, you know. There's not a lot of investment in the arts. And also, I was teaching at an art center this past May, and most of them want to become like psychologists and doctors and all of that. And I'm like, but you guys are so talented, you know? Like, it's crazy that you don't even know that there's a way in which you can make a living out of this thing. So I guess it's up to us, really, us that want to open doors for as much people as they can and be able to pay people the right way, you know. I mean, I've experienced exploitation firsthand, and it's not the greatest feeling on the planet. It's really not. And I think simply because you love the thing, you keep going.
At some point, you know, God willing, we're going to get to a point where we have actually the power to change these things like immediately.
Yeah.
You know, you have a team, for example, of creators that are looking up to you, and you have the choice now. Do I give them good remuneration for what they did? You know, make them see that it's worth it to be in this field, worth it to tell your story. You know, so that's just where my train of thought is going now. But I wanted to ask you if you ever feel like you're not worthy enough to be where you are, like
real
to direct, to have, because now you have like a whole team of people who are doing your work, you know, your script, they're following that. Do you ever feel like, you know, maybe I'm not fit for this? And when you do, or if you do, how do you deal with it?
Real. Mainly, I pray about it. I won't even lie. I get on my knees and I pray because I'm like, clearly I was sent to do this, and like I've had the same passion since I was literally 5. Like my parents saw me at a young age, but this one is going to be in the arts. They shout out to them. They put me in dance classes. They put me in singing classes. They ensured that I got at least a good foundation to ensure that I can pursue London differently pursue it because they believed in me. So linking back to your question, I think when I feel my most imposter syndrome, I just pick up the phone and I call my mom. She's invested in my dreams so much, like, and I think she knows where I'm going, and so I think I'm just a product of her prayers, really. And clearly, she knows something that I don't really know. So it's like every time I pick up the phone and I call her, I'm like, yo, I'm feeling like this and like that. She always tells me that no, like you've got this, and you were born to do this. It's one thing. It's not that when you are trained and you were brought simply on this earth to pursue this career and to pursue this, and nothing should sway you and nothing should make you feel like you're not good enough. And also just the young affirmations, like especially teaching at the art center for this past month that I was at Sibikwa, and seeing them and being able to instill like my wisdom or spread my gospel, like, and also how inspiring that is for them, and to have those conversations with young people. I'm like, oh, okay, like we are doing the right thing. We're in the right space, you know. I think God and your ancestors will always give you those little small reminders. And it's also about just simply having a conversation with anybody, even if it's I'm having a conversation with either Upelelo or have a conversation with Mandisa, who I work closely with creatively as well, and who's taught me so much as well. Like, I think those conversations always just fill my heart, especially Upelele that's known me since I was 16. And when I told her, like, this is what I'm going to do, I'm trying to push this theater thing, and we are pushing this theater thing together as best friends. I think you look around and you see that you're surrounded with love and people that believe in you, like really with their whole hearts believe in you. And you're like, how could I not believe in myself?
How does your current state of mind affect the art that you produce or the things that you do creatively?
I've learned that if anything is coming in between me and my craft, it has to go. Wow. And one thing about my ancestors, Shemo Dole, they don't play around with me when it comes to that. Like, they will remove me from situations quick, fast. Like, I was working on a project earlier in the year and they said, nope, took me out. And like, I was like, what? Why does that even have to do with anything? Until things reveal themselves as time goes by. So I think it's simply about it's not the healthiest, but sometimes just putting things to the side and be like, hey yo, like I will deal with you a little later. I have a play waiting for me that needs to be put on its feet, that I believe in, that I owe it to myself to do that, you know? Yes, I may be boxing my other emotions, but I'm like, there's other parts of me that I owe that to. Like, you know, like I owe it to 6-year-old me that is the hugest dreamer that I've ever met in my entire life, that keeps me going every single day. And I owe it to achieve their dreams, and I know what I need to do to get to that point, you know. I'm a very like, let's go, let's work, I'm that kind of person in general. So anything that is hindering me and my craft, I will simply put it to the side. Maybe that is why also there's a huge mental health issue in the arts in general. My therapist likes to even say that we should all be in therapy, which is real. But I think it's just simply just let me just put you here for a second. I will come back to you, yes, and I acknowledge you and I feel that and I see those emotions, but I need to deal with this in this current moment in time because that's what needs me the most right now.
Earlier, I asked you if you have a favorite piece of work that you've done.
Yes.
Can you tell me the title of it or when it was?
It's so tricky. Okay, I think that's such a. I don't like that question. Because like I like all of the things that I've been a part of, but I will say it's a play that I did called Ungati Amen. Shout out to the cast. I love them so much. We are busy in the works of trying to bring that play back. It was a play that we devised in second. I think I say Ungati Amen because it was the first body of work that I was very proud of, and the first body of work that I saw myself being like saw myself in. It was also the first original work that has my name on it, and so we came together and we created this body of work and we performed it in second year. So basically, it's a play that follows a girl that is queer that has been killed because of hate crime and has a very religious mother and has a father that is very politically affiliated. Basically, it's just a play about queerhood and being queer in South Africa and how this whole idea that queerness is not a black thing and it's not African, and challenging that through African theater and African theater aesthetics, through ingoma, through using speaking through our mother tongues throughout the entire play. I think it was one of the first body of works where I was like, yes, that's something so beautiful and something so proud that I'm very proud that I was even a part of, so we performed it in second year. We performed it again at this other Denzel and Joe art exhibition. We performed it during orientation week as well. And it's opened a lot of doors. And I think will continue to open a lot of doors for all of us. Also, I did Woman in Waiting was an adaptation that I did with Ulikaya, Upelele, Unolutano, Nopambata, beautiful cast full of femmes. A woman's story that I attributed to the helper at my house that had raised me, Sis Maria, love it to bites. So that was also a body of work that I was proud of. But you said I must pick one. So Ungati Amen is the one.
So if this favorite piece of work could speak and it had to introduce itself to us, what would it say its identity is? Like, what would it introduce itself to us
as? I love that question. That's a beautiful question. Maybe I can use one of the favorite lines from the play is, we are here, we are queer, and we will not disappear. I think is the best way to, that's the staple line I think that associates with the play. And also there was a motif that we used, question mark, really. Yeah.
And it's important to speak out. Like, why are you quiet?
Yes.
What feelings do pieces like this allow you to address, allow you to let go of?
Growing up queer and black in the Eastern Cape, KwaXhosa, very traditional tribe, as you know. No offense to other Jans, love y'all to bites. I think KwaXhosa, very cishet, patriarchal. Yes. Yeah, you can imagine. So growing up in that kind of, I guess, in that kind of space, and being non-binary as well, and being black and being queer, and having to explain yourself, I'm this and it's this and it's this and it's that. I just think it resonated with the fact that being black and queer is my reality, and anyone could take my life in any day when they felt like it because of simply how I present. Yeah. Especially being under the trans umbrella as well. So yeah, it was seeing that and seeing how also this identity can also like how it can handle and treat your relationship with your parents as well. Like we had definitely a rocky start, but then of course I'm grateful that they came around eventually and we're all good and we can have open conversations about different things in terms of my identity. Being queer and being black and how that it can affect you and where you come from and how it can change family dynamics out of nowhere without you even realizing. I mean, of course, I have many of my people that are like close people to me that I know that left home or parents don't know yet about their queer identity, like, or not even accepting of it, and how painful that can be as well, and how we can move past that and how can we bring ourselves as we want to be and as the people that we are, and allow our parents to get to know us really for who we are. I always tell my mother that what saved our relationship is her being open to get to know me, not as the version she had created in her head, but as who Lufezo is, their child.
That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Okay, what was your first thoughts when you first heard from Noma Khumi?
Oh, as in you. First thought was, okay, interview, fancy. I mean, I was the kind of child at 6 who was busy doing interviews with Umtu that's not even there. Yeah. So I've been practicing for this moment. I think I love anybody that is trying to connect with other creators or trying to create an archive or a platform for people to talk about their art or to talk about themselves. Yeah. So you're doing beautiful stuff. That's why I was even saying, like, who else? Like, I know people that are really love or willing to talk about these kind of things or really to have these conversations with you. And especially where I'm from in terms of the theater making and the theater space, I think we don't hear much about Tina and what we're doing because we're not really in the mainstream of the arts. It's like I at some had difficult conversations with myself about like, oh, maybe I need to get into other streams, which I still want to do. Like I still want to DJ, I still want to like make clothes, I still want to produce music, I still want to make my own music. All of these, the mainstream, still want to like be involved in like fashion and modeling and all of those kinds of things. But I know what my first love is, and it's theater making. So I realized that the only way I'm going to penetrate those spaces is if I come with my theater doll and be like, I'm a theater maker, y'all. Like, yes, I can do everything else, but in my truest form, I'm a theater maker. So I'm just grateful to be able to yap about something that I love in a great space. And shout out for you for creating a platform for people to do that, and keep on doing that.
Thank you. So the next one I was going to ask was like, what does Noma Khumi mean to you right now? It not being established yet, still being something that maybe you might view as conceptual, but you're now a part of, But I feel like you kind of answered it, as the whole you love everyone who's trying to connect with creatives. So what do you expect to see from Noma Khumi going forward in the next 2 months, in the next month, next year,
Collaboration. I think that's what excites me. I want to see like who else is being brought into this family and how we can all collaborate. That's what excites me. How can we work together to bring this, of course, this project that you are trying to create, bring it up on its feet, but as a means of collaborating as well with our own companies that we have as well, and our own, how can we collaborate? How can we come together and create something that's even bigger or help it grow to where it can be and where you see it to be? Just creating a space for you where you can speak about all of your ideas that you're trying to create and speak with other people and how I can help other people and how they can help me, how you can help me, how can we all help each other, how can we collaborate? I think mainly is the one thing that I'm excited about.
So I'm hearing that the values you associate with Noma Khumi are collaboration.
Yes.
Like the unity of it all.
Yes. The family, yes. Community. Yeah.
And I think you've like worded it to the T. You put it exactly how I envisioned it to be. One of the big things about Noma Khumi is, fostering a family of creators.
Yes.
We can look to each other to like build each other up, help each other in each and every one of our individual pursuits. Whether you're working on a project and maybe there's a film team, and you need someone to help you with that, or a conceptual team, narrative team, creative director, that type of thing. It's really exciting. I look forward
It is. It's very exciting.
To the future.
Shout out. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out and reach out more often and really just continue spreading the gospel. I think we're all in an era of just spreading our own gospel, what our gospel looks like, what it feels like, So continue spreading it, continue cultivating people and bringing people together, because that is the only way that we're actually going to win. And I think you're building a nice foundation of this just the importance of collaborating and the importance of reaching out and the importance of wanting to have conversation with people and connect with people. I think that's a very beautiful thing, and that also just comes with having the right intentions throughout what you're doing. So yeah, I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to see what else you are cooking and you're trying to do. And thank you to everybody that has helped make this possible.